The Unstable SMP hasn't uploaded in almost 2 months, but why? Well, there have been multiple theories surrounding the question, but almost all of them are completely made up, and the real reason behind their upload schedule will shock you. Let me start with the facts, because once you line up exactly where each creator's story actually left off, the real answer becomes obvious. Spoke is the most recent upload out of all 4 protagonists, and his video ends with him seizing full control of the End Dimension, radicalizing Null's army and watching Minotaur step through a portal to find, in his own words, the only person who can help him. Wembu's last video is The Purge, ending with him vowing to kill Arachnid after Aegon stasis gets pulled yet again. And Parrot's last video, the one that's been sitting the longest without a follow-up, ends with him completely dethroned, his kingdom lost, Theo and Rhaena missing, and Saporetta crowned as the second king of Unstable. These are not 3 creators sitting on random unrelated footage. These are 3 storylines that all reached the climax, before Wemmbu and Parrot disappeared off the face of the earth. The most viral rumor floating around claims something happened to one of the creators personally, an accident with different versions saying different things, none of them agreeing on the specifics, and none of them coming from any confirmed source. There's no statement from Wemmbu, Parrot, Spoke, or anyone in their circles. Rumors like this spread because they're emotional and feel significant, but weeks of pure speculation with zero confirmation is a pretty strong sign that this is misinformation rather than a concealed truth. It is truly disgusting how far people went just to make up stuff about their favorite creators. And that's a detail that actually destroys this theory directly. Footage from multiple upcoming videos has reportedly already existed for weeks. If something serious had happened to any of them personally, recorded content wouldn't already be sitting finished and unreleased. The vacation theory holds up a little better on the surface. None of these creators edit their own videos, they all work with dedicated editors, so if someone took time off after finishing a recording block, that wouldn't necessarily stop the editing pipeline from moving forward on its own. But that's exactly the problem with this theory too. If the editors had the footage and were actively working, the videos would be done by now regardless of who was on a break. A 2 or 3 week gap, sure, that tracks with the vacation. A gap approaching 2 months across 3 separate creators at the same time does not. Now here's where it gets interesting, because once you actually look at where each story left off, a much better explanation starts to take shape. Spoke's video is the most recently posted, and it ends with him fully in control of the End, having raised multiple civilizations including Void Moons, radicalized Null's forces completely, and pushed Minute through a portal specifically to seek out help from someone the fandom is already speculating could be Wemmbu, Clownpierce, or Ashlag. That line is not a throwaway detail, that is a direct setup connecting Spoke's storyline to at least one other protagonist's story, meaning whatever Spoke does next cannot be filmed or released in isolation. It depends on which protagonist Minute actually finds. Keep that detail in mind, because it becomes the center of everything once you line it up against Wemmbu and Parrot. Wembu's last video ends with him vowing to kill Arachnid after watching Aegon stasis get pulled one more time, the same cycle that's been running for multiple arcs now. That's a clean narrative cliffhanger on its own, Wemmbu declaring open war on the person holding his best friend hostage. But look at what's happening in Parrot's video during the exact window of the timeline. Wemmbu appears twice in Parrot's most recent upload. First, watching from a lamppost behind the Cindercrest army during the build-up to the capital city fight. Then dropping a nuke shot on the crowd of civilians and single-handedly demolishing Parrot's forces, alongside Theo, Rhaena, Flame, and Lomedy. Wembu's actions in Parrot's video are some of the most consequential in the entire Civil War, and none of that is contextualized from Wembu's own perspective anywhere. Because from Wembu's perspective, it showed him just massacring everyone for fun. But before we keep going, I want to ask you to subscribe. It genuinely helps out a ton, and these videos take forever to make. Anyways, the timeline coordination theory is the strongest explanation by far. Unstable SMP has always been a shared story told from multiple perspectives, and the creators have consistently held back releases specifically to avoid one protagonist's video spoiling major beats before another protagonist gets the chance to show that same event from their own side. Wembu's next video needs to bridge the gap between him vowing revenge on Arachnid and maybe even him helping Minotac. If that video drops before Spoke's Anarch has had room to breathe, it ruins Spoke's video entirely, since the viewers would already know Wemmbu is the one helping Minotac. Spoke's story planted a direct crossover thread with Minute stepping through a portal to find help from Wemmbu, Clownpiece, or Ashlag. If that thread connects to Wembu specifically, and given Wembu's current unresolved war with Arachnid, that's a real possibility, then Spoke's next chapter and Wembu's next chapter might not be able to release independently of each other at all. Whoever posts first risks revealing information the other creator needed to set up on their own terms. This isn't just two creators being slow, this is three separate storylines that have been all converged onto the exact same moment in server history. The end of Parrot's reign, Wembu's stasis vow, and Spoke's search for outside help, and none of them can move forward without stepping on each other's reveals. There's also a very real possibility that this isn't purely a release order problem, but a still being written problem. This video ended with him swearing to take his kingdom back, completely stripped of his throne, not knowing where Theo Reina are. Wembu's story needs to explain his own role in that outcome from the inside. Spoke's story just introduced an entirely new mystery character that could reshape the direction of Null's storyline going forward. That's three major threads that all need to interlock cleanly, and the massive reveal that Saps himself confirmed an alternate ending already existed for the Civil War finale, one where Cindercrest lost and Separata fled instead of winning, tells you something important. The story is not rigid, it's actively being shaped and reshaped based on where Parrot wanted the narrative to go. If the ending of one of the biggest arcs in the entire series was still flexible enough to get rewritten close to release, it's entirely reasonable that the chapters following it are still being worked out in real time rather than sitting fully finished in a folder somewhere. So here's the actual picture once everything gets laid out together. Spoke posted first because his End Civilization arc, while connected to everyone else through the Minute cliffhanger, was self-contained enough to release without spoiling Wembu's or Parrot's next moves. Parrot's video, despite technically having the oldest release date of the three, dropped a massive amount of unresolved material into the timeline. Theo and Reina missing, Parrot's exile, and Separata's coronation, all of which now require careful sequencing to pay off correctly. Wembu's next video has to walk the audience through exactly how he went from vowing to kill Arachnid to helping Minute, and that's not a small connective scene, that's the entire missing act of the Civil War from his side. This was never about a personal emergency, a falling out, or scheduling conflict with other servers. This is about a story that has gotten so tight across three perspectives that releasing the next chapter for any one of them risks unraveling the impact of what the others still need to reveal. The alternate ending detail alone proves the writers are still actively shaping where this goes, even this close to release. The delay isn't a sign that something is wrong behind the scenes. It's a sign that the story just hit its most complicated intersection point yet, and getting it right requires every piece to land in exactly the correct order. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments when you think Unstable SMP is uploading.